I'm joined now by Kevin Bennett. He's an associate teaching professor of psychology at the Pennsylvania State University Beaver campus. So, Kevin, why are anger rooms so popular right now?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that are important. First of all, the typical experience of going to an anger room involves showing up, putting down some money, signing a waiver, putting on some goggles. They give you some basic instructions, and then you're allowed to select a weapon. A baseball bat, it could be a hammer. And then the next step is you go into a room, which is a special place. And once you cross into that room, all the constraints that normally hold you back in our ordinary world, they're gone. So you're free to do whatever you want. And you can choose to smash a coffee cup into 10,000 pieces, or you can destroy a television set or a piece of furniture. And I think for a lot of people, this is incredibly thrilling. There's some kind of euphoria that comes from that sort of freedom. You are now liberated to do things that really you cannot do in any other setting. No other part of life can you walk into a place and smash things. There are legal reasons, there are ethical reasons. At the very minimum, it's just inappropriate to do in a lot of settings. So I think that's one thing. Another important thing to think about is what's happening in the brain when people are engaged in that kind of destructive activity. Anytime you are engaged in something that leads to immediate gratification, it triggers the reward systems inside the brain. And so it's like a green flashing light that's saying, I like this, this is good, let's do it again, let's do it again.
But Kevin, you went through this whole process and it sounds great, but I mean, you have to get somewhere, you have to, book the room, you said. So you're holding on to this anger for quite some time. I mean, what if your anger is gone by the time you even get to the anger room?
Well, my hope is that most people that get involved in this, going to these anger rooms, they do it for fun, and it's not really a stress relief, because I think the problem is, and the reason I have cause for concern, is that in the long run, we may actually be conditioning ourselves to be more aggressive and more destructive in the long run. So if people just treat it as a fun thing, hopefully a social thing to do, then I think that they'll enjoy the experience better.
The owner of one of the anger rooms in Beijing said that these rooms are a good way to relieve stress. In large cities where people are under a lot of pressure, do you think there's really a big difference in anger issues or stress in big cities compared to smaller cities?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of data to suggest that in crowded urban areas, we see an increase in depression, loneliness, isolation, stress, anxiety, and a whole host of other factors that affect quality of life. So I think it is a bigger issue in bigger metropolitan areas. But I think there's a lot of ways to deal with that stress in addition to going to an anger room or a rage room.
Do you think this is a good way to relieve stress as opposed to conventional alternatives, something calmer like meditation or yoga?
Well, I think one issue is we do not have long-term data on the psychological impact of rage rooms or anger rooms in the long run. What are they doing to people? And we do know that yoga tends to benefit people. It's beneficial. Meditation, even going for walks, engaging in physical activity that's not destructive, doing things like cooking, if that's your passion. I think the real challenge is to find something that you are passionate about that is not destructive, not harmful to you or to other people.